The court sentenced Dmitry Ivanov to be found guilty of committing a crime under paragraph 2 of Article 207.3 of the Criminal Code of the Russian Federation and to sentence him to imprisonment for a term of 8 years and 6 months.
The Timirazevsky court of Moscow, which found 23-year-old Ivanov guilty of spreading fake news about the Russian army, also banned him from using the internet for 4 years after his release. The former student of Moscow State University does not admit his guilt. The prosecution, on the contrary, considers the guilt of the defendant proven in full. The activist's lawyer called the sentence cruel and illegal.
Article 207.3, which has recently passed a year, as it is in our criminal code, in my deep conviction, it should not be there since it is repressive and unconstitutional. And many lawyers are now working to try to discredit this norm, disqualify it in the Constitutional Court of the Russian Federation. Of course, the fight against this norm will go on in every process.
For a year now, the Russian authorities have been using the federal law of March 4, 2022 on amendments to the Criminal Code of the Russian Federation and Articles 31 and 151 of the Code of Criminal Procedure of the Russian Federation in order to suppress protest moods among their own citizens. Hundreds of people have already been convinced for the so-called fakes about the Russian army, and the most controversial sentences were given to oppositionists Alexei Gorinov and Ilya Yashin for 7 and 8.5 years, respectively. Now Dmitry Ivanov has joined them. According to Moscow lawyer Larisa Mouve, the law will be tightened further as the Kremlin's propaganda loses its influence.
The authorities frighten citizens in such a way that no one would have the desire to subject the correctness of its actions to the slightest doubt, and if suddenly the proposed news version is not confirmed by reality, well, so much the worse for reality. Larisa Mouve, attorney of the Moscow Chamber of Advocates, in an interview with Voice of America.
In Tambov, human rights activist Vladimir Zhilkin was searched and all his computer equipment was taken away. According to the police report, Zhilkin is a functionary of the Voice movement, whose leadership opposes the military actions of the Russian Federation on the territory of Ukraine. The lawyer wrote on his Telegram channel that he considers the search an action of intimidation and pressure on his family.
In addition to the feeling of disgust and most pleasant and unpowerful experience, of course, is the lost technique. Without it, all our human rights protection and other activities will stop. What is the action of the Federal Security Service police connected with? I think since March 8th. They know that they will not break me this way. They decided to congratulate my wife. I hope that each of my today's uninvited guests will be able to boast tomorrow before their women. Vladimir Zhilkin, Russian human rights activist, on Telegram.
In Voronezh on March 8th, a girl was detained with a poster "Happy Holidays, Dear Ladies", and the Zamoskvoretsky District Court of Moscow considered the lawsuit of the sports LGBT community against the Ministry of Justice about the illegality of assigning the organization the status of a foreign agent. The prosecution believes that the sporting events held by the organization, like badminton, skiing and tourist tournaments, were aimed at changing family values traditional in Russia. The court left the decision in force the organization in the status of a foreign agent, but is not going to stop its activities.
I said in court when a representative of the Ministry of Justice said, "Well, you are a foreign agent. This does not prevent you from working." Unfortunately, it does, because servicing. I will not say otherwise. A foreign agent in Russia obliged to numerous financial expenses, for audits, for all sorts of reports. We will not pull it. Most likely we will be forced to close the organization. But we will work in a different form, because we can be banned, but we are not physically going anywhere. The LGBT community is huge.
After February 24, 2022, about 20,000 people were held accountable in Russia for participating in anti-war actions. They were detained, fined or sent under administrative arrest, says Russian opposition leader Andrei Sidelnikov.
Поэтому, в общем-то, безжалостно хватают и расправляются.
Therefore, they ruthlessly seize and deal with people, showing that the rest should sit, be afraid, and not participate in any political issues, not participate in any rallies, and no matter what the topic of these events is. They want to intimidate everyone so that it would be more convenient to conduct this policy which is going on. That is, the policy of complete destruction of freedom, not to mention what is happening in Ukraine and the genocide of the Ukrainian population. So here the genocide is already being extended to Russian citizens, regardless of nationality.
According to official data, over 190,000 websites and web pages were blocked in Russia in 2022. The prosecutor's office of the Russian Federation sent almost 2,000 applications to Roskomnadzor for extrajudicial restriction of access to information on the internet, instant messengers and social networks. Reported by Serhiy Kulas, Natalia Belokudrya, UATV News.